For those of you who are following my Limbus Company journey, you may or may not know that I'm actually on a break from the game right now. Since I only have 2 cantos left and I really don't want to be finished quite yet with the game, I decided to wait until WoW purchase so we can get a load of new IDs to play with for our last big push. Well, at least until the end of the year when we hopefully get Canto 9. In the meantime, I decided to pick up a few games on the summer Steam sale, one being Lobotomy Corporation, another is Library of Runa, and lastly I bought Expedition 33. But that's not a PM game, so get out of here. Chronologically, it makes the most sense to play Lobotomy Corporation first, and so that's what I did. Let me tell you though, this game almost broke me. Multiple times. You know those really annoying scenes in anime where the main character just does the most unrealistic, maniacal laughter? I unironically did that several times during my first playthrough of this game. Now before we go further, I just want to say this video is not going to quite be in the style of my Limbus videos, because despite playing on and off for over a week now, I've only just finished day 20. So let's talk about that. What is Lobotomy Corporation and why is it systematically destroying my sanity? At its core, it's a monster management simulator, and within minutes of playing the game, the entire energy system in Limbus Company has basically been given a backstory as to what it is, where it comes from, and why it's important. You see, in these lab-like structures are containment cells, holding creatures called abnormalities, and working with these creatures produces energy, thus solving the world's energy crisis. The problem is, some of these creatures, despite looking all cutesy, are run killers. Well, not really, because you can actually just restart a day if something goes wrong, and believe me, I restarted days more often than I finished them. The more I play Lobotomy Corporation, the more I realise that this game is Murphy's Law personified. Take this little bird for example, it's absolutely harmless. And while yes, if you neglect it, it will escape from its cell and roam around the lab pecking people. It does so little to no damage, you can just ignore it, and thankfully the AI actually does ignore it. But what if a random meltdown occurs, causing something called ordeals to start walking the hallways? And let's say while you're taking care of them, your magic bullet employee blasts right as the bird enters the room, tanking the shot and absolutely obliterating your work in response. I can't believe it! But if there's a possibility for it to happen, it will happen. But let's take it a bit back. I started my first run and I didn't realise until way later that these boxes I'm choosing between the days are actually abnormalities, so it's not totally random. The first is always a floating skull with a cross through its head, and as you start to work with it you unlock more information, learning that it's called One Sin and Hundreds of Good Deeds. Not exactly a catchy name, I'll admit that. But here's something really cool about it. It was a few days later when a bunch of us were talking about IDs in Limbus Company and someone posted a screenshot of Red Eyes Ryoshu, and I noticed that in her skills was something called Penitence, and the symbol for it looked exactly like One Sin and Hundreds of Good Deeds. That's because while we're working with these abnormalities, we're actually also getting the ability to create armor and weapons out of them, such as the magic bullet I talked about earlier. And also, we get to see this in the form of Magic Bullet Otis in Limbus Company. While many people say that I should have started with Lobotomy Corporation, I have to admit, doing it in this weird reverse order actually makes me appreciate Lobotomy Corporation a lot more than I probably would have done. A few days go past and our next abnormality is this old lady, and while there's not much to say about her, it's here I actually made a mistake that I wouldn't realise until almost a real life week later. Since we now have 2 cells to work on, I hired a second worker, so that we can work on both abnormalities at once, generating more energy and getting through the day faster. When I restarted my run, this is something I opted not to do. And that's actually because of how time works in this game. Time doesn't just progress on its own. If you do nothing, time will not move. But every time your worker starts a job, your time ticks over by 1 square. So as you can see top left, every time an employee starts a job, time progresses by 1 cube. So when this bar actually fills up, you get a meltdown. Earlier I called it random, but it's actually not random at all. The first meltdown just causes some of the abnormalities cells to react, and we need to go do some work with them to counter this. Easy. The second meltdown is where the ordeals come into play, and it's seemingly random which ones spawn. At first I couldn't kill any of these, so initiating a combat would be the end of my day and I'd have to reset. But most of the ordeals don't seem to come into the main room, so it's generally easy enough to avoid them. Unless you've got loads of workers because you're trying to work on all the abnormalities at once. Even more so when these workers are standing around doing nothing, because the 4th abnormality that spawns seems to be a different type. At least it has been twice in a row for me so far. This version isn't actually one that you go to work with, but instead they can offer buffs, sanity restoration, or just essentially act as an Iron Maiden. So for that reason, nobody is working here. The other thing to note is that abnormalities have tiers to them, similar to egos in Limbus Company. In Lobotomy Corporation, these tiers very much dictate the strength of the abnormality, and the higher up you go, the more energy potential they have. Since we know performing any work advances the time by 1, it's now become completely inefficient to do anything but the highest tier abnormality. These lower tier abnormalities have now become a literal waste of time. So now I have multiple workers just standing around doing nothing. Oh, also I didn't know you could tell workers that they could work anywhere. They don't have to work within a sector they've been hired for. With that lengthy explanation out of the way, all I'm trying to say is when you have this many low-level workers and Ordeals attack, for whatever reason, one of the workers will just randomly decide to go and suppress them all alone and die. And my whole complaint about this is a massive lack of UI. I never know where my workers are, what they're doing, how much health they've got, how much sanity they have. But what I didn't realise is this is by design. As you start completing missions, you actually unlock more and more bits of the UI as you go on. But as of right now, I still don't have any sort of overview to see all my current workers and their statuses. Run 1 sort of got soft locked around day 11. It was impossible to complete a day without at least one employee dying, and I couldn't bring myself to restart because all my workers were around level 3 in most of their stats. Which is decent, but for the higher tier abnormalities, it isn't a high enough level to consistently do good work with them. Thankfully, I was told that restarting is a very viable strategy, as all the information you've unlocked on abnormalities stays. Not just that, but any gear you've created, you also get to keep as well. Any mission rewards, such as extra UI elements, also carry over when you restart. So I started again, this time only having one worker per department, and this strategy was working fantastically. My workers were leveling up extremely fast. Apart from the odd implosion from not unlocking, reading, or simply understanding what each abnormality does, we were progressing at great speed. We got the Magic Bullet abnormality, as well as a few other heat tiers, until eventually getting both Queen of Hatred and the Knight of Despair, the two new Walpurgis IDs we're getting soon. Apart from partially bricking one of my workers, since they got a buff from some random samurai armor, that means if they go and do attachment work, they'll explode. Everyone was doing really well. All 4 employees were basically max level, and thanks to the high level abnormalities, they were all geared to the teeth in He and WoW gear. I even let my workers purposely get frozen by the ice cream. I even let my workers... God damn it. Maybe I'll keep that in as a blooper. I even let my workers purposely get frozen by the Ice Queen so I can rescue them for a face gift for at least 2 workers. Sure, there was an occasional ordeal that caused me problems, but everything was going smoothly, until it wasn't. For whatever reason, doing some work with the Queen of Hatred kept resulting in bad performances, causing her to escape and absolutely obliterate an entire hallway of workers. But it's fine, we only had a few more days to go until we finished. Finally we got a run where I managed to get the energy I needed without any deaths. And that's all the rooms finished. Oh, never mind, that was essentially the tutorial. I'm making notes of the story, but I'm guessing there are going to be multiple endings based on the dialect choices. For this run, I'm trying to be the model employee, only choosing answers that I think will lean towards benefiting the company. So we'll see how that ends for us. Sadly, the Queen of Hatred is now causing me a lot of troubles. I don't know why all of a sudden, because it's been fine for days, but I might have to restart the run. But it's okay, I can speedrun to this point and make sure I don't take any difficult abnormalities. But we'll see. All this video is to say content is on the way. I just need to get a wig to cover up my bald spots from ripping my hair out playing this game. I'm joking. Except I'm not, because I actually have had to trim my beard because I'm plucking it like a parrot plucks his feathers. It's what I do when I get stressed, and I'm not gonna lie, Lobotomy Corporation is stressing me out. Up until yesterday, I will admit, I don't think I was enjoying this game at all. But thanks to the amazing help from the Discord members, I am now actually really loving this game. Especially slowly putting the pieces of the incredible world building that PM have once again done. I apologise this isn't quite up to my standard of video, like I normally do for Limbus Company, but as I said earlier, I am waiting for Walpurgis Night. I'm hoping to make a Lobotomy Corporation video in the style of my Limbus videos. I just need to get my head around a bit more, and obviously I need to finish my run. Good luck on Walpurgis everybody, it should be next week, but until then, thank you very much for listening, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Bye bye.